Hello, and welcome to another Wargame cast with me, Renru. And today we have another 1v1 from the Wargame Bootcamp Discord, Hardened Tourney. And on the left hand side in the blue, we have ourselves a Warspite playing as a blue Dragons deck. And on the right hand side in the red, we have Satyr playing as the rather dreaded Finnish Polis deck. And right off the bat, we got some smoke play covering this rather mechanized, or I should really say motorized push here, of a whole bunch of, well, potentially angry Finns. It does seem like Warspite is gonna get into the town just a little bit faster with his WAPCs, using smoke as well, because of course this is mud fight. It really all just revolves around capturing this tiny little village. It is such a key focal point. But oh no, the Jakaris are going to get in. The Kutai is going to try and rush in as well, but the Jakaris do get into a good position, using their laws to great effect. And the KT's coming around to suppress Kutai before he can actually get a foothold into the area. MI-17, this is pretty damn good. Satyr really has Warspite in a lovely position here. It's really down to Tsukari Marashikis who'd be doing a lot of the work, but they're being forced to pull back with all the infantry support just dying. Satyr is pretty much doing all of this with just a bunch of light armor. It's got that one T-72 of course, which is not outlight, but he is definitely outgunned in the heavy anti-tank department. Yeah, with all of the supporting units dying now from Warspite, he can't really do much else. His Kaiyus are actually in a pretty dangerous position, potentially. SU-22 is going to try and take advantage of it, but smoke drops in the nick of time. And the Kaiyus are going to survive, for the time being at least. Looking elsewhere, yep, it's pretty bloody quiet. As usual, it's usually a rush for that village position, because once you capture it, you can pretty much control Delta and Alpha, which are two of the key focal points on this map. Warspite is going to be bringing in reinforcements, a bunch of infantry, as well as a little bit of anti-air. That's going to be pretty tough now. We do have those ATGM troops managing to spread out into Delta, which is definitely going to negate those Kaiyus from getting anywhere close to that village. The Warspite does have a decent force, at least, inside the town south of Delta. They'll run Shumats in a lovely position to try and zone out anything that does move into the point. And we're just seeing constant smoke here from Warspite, potentially just to keep his Kaiyus from getting ATGM'd, which is a very smart move. The same thing with Satyr, trying to keep his T-72 alive. So both sides really just building up forces. Yeah, of course, Satyr does have the better position in his town. You're not seeing a sneaky ninja. I think Warspite is going to try and do some up north maneuver play, maybe get into Alpha through the forest. It's going to be a little bit slow, of course. You have to go through that bloody forest. But really, it's one of his best bets to just try and flank onto his town, as attacking it head-on is going to be pretty deadly with all of these missiles flying about. Your Warspite, yeah, I'm going to be getting CV into Foxtrot, seeing that Satyr has got one into Charlie. So trying to negate any point bleed whatsoever, which is a very smart move. I think we've seen many a replay where people just lose because they just don't bother spending that 100 points or so on a CV to capture an area which they very easily could. It's in the end of the day, it's all about those command points. Yeah, it's really just a build up of forces. I'm curious to see how his northern aggression will go. There's not really a whole lot here, as Hachi Nanashiki can try and deal with the Finnish special recon troops, yeah. Just maybe knock out a few light armored pieces. EGM trying to snipe the K2. Gonna back off in the nick of time, of course. Forcing Satyr to raise some ammunition. Oh, he's counter-battering the mortar. Interesting play. Gonna be forcing to fall back for the time being. If we do have a second one being brought in. And a second T-72. But definitely gonna even the odds in terms of the super heavy tank fight up north here. Warspite actually not doing anything really aggressive up north. He's just holding on to that one sliver in alpha here with his troops. Move that 1K200 around to do a little bit of reconnaissance work. Here we go, K1. He's definitely building up a force to move up here, but of course it does take time. Moving through forest is pretty bloody slow. That close arrow could definitely come a little bit sooner, seeing that the MI8 is out and about. Yeah, Satyr's is in a really lovely position holding onto that village. Seen some artillery. Well, it's heavy artillery, but no, it's just mortars firing. The Satyr has built a bit more of a force into Alpha now. From his Panzer infantry. Of course, those rather lovely XA-185s. But it's really just a mortar war. Mortars here, mortars, yeah, mortars bloody everywhere. 8200 does get knocked out. I'm just curious to see if something's going to happen. This is a rather slow skirmish match, which isn't too surprising for Mudfight, but you usually see at least some shenanigans down south. He has spotted the enemy ATGMs, probably going to try an artillery M. Does have two KM 110s, or 110s to be more numerically accurate, and they are rather accurate with that rather large numeric gun. Perfect for sniping ATGM troops. Yeah. Like having a small little airstrike. Definitely going to be a very useful piece in knocking out his ATGM infantry. Because those spike MLRs can be a goddamn pain. We've also seen a push here finally from Warspite trying to get back into that village. Doing a foot zerg with the Sochong shoes. Still keeping his Kayus covered in that awfully thick cloud of smoke. Definitely going to give him some lung cancer. Amount of times I've been subjected to it. But you see two T-72s moving up. You might see a forced engagement here eventually. Another T-72s are going to back off for the time being. There's more ATGM troops coming to fill in the gap. Even got a not so fancy T-72, but still pretty damn good. Players are just moving back and forth, trying to find that perfect opportunity to strike. On Emron Rourke as well, so really trying to bring in the heavy firepower here from Satyr. And even a CV to capture Delta. Or Alpha. Probably Alpha, I'm guessing. It's a better infantry CV location, as he's got a whole lot of forest where you can play hide and seek. Curious to see what he's doing with the smoke play. Oh, he's doing it to cover his T-72 advance. Moving him to a more offensive position here. It does have the potential to engage the Kairus, but of course it is AK1 in that forest. There we go, with Alpha under control, Satyr is going to get a very nice and steady +1 point advantage. Is that a Telerak? Nope, it's a Rack 91, because it's not Yugoslavia. The cheap MLRS artillery. They're going to be stunning the Kairus here. I think he's going to try and move up the T-72s to engage. The Kairus, oh, he's got 3 of them now. Might be enough to turn the tide. Here we go. We got the tank battle of the century here. It's really going to make or break it. And is anyone going to die? No. Both sides is exchanging a bit of fire. Oh, I think one of the T-72s, oh no, that's just the less fancy one, does go down. M1 Mod, one of them down to a single sliver of HP. And all the Kairus are still alive, only one down to 2 HP, so rather bloodless fight, all things considering. I could have definitely gone Mod Deadly for either side. But Warspite just cannot get a foothold into that village. There's just way too much firepower north of Alpha here to deny him any movement into that area. Guys are going to move up, just trying to deal with that armor. Of course, the smoke, there's so much smoke is going to deny him. Now, what are you doing up here, MI-17? Going for a bit of a hillside flight. What if he's going to try some CV cheese? If he flies any closer, he's going to fly off the edge of the road. Because in a Wargame universe, it is actually a flat Earth. Just seeing the smoke. Just constant bloody smoke. I wonder if we're going to see another precarious engagement here. Looking at this MI-17's chances, it's not too bad. He could potentially knock out the KMs, which would be pretty decent. The Hachinana Shiks, yeah. I don't believe that iHawk is close enough to actually engage the MI-17. Now, out of all of Warspite's forces so clumped up together, he's just getting completely and utterly stunned. Quite literally. Well, maybe he could snipe his CV potentially. Nah, he's gonna get into the forest, he should be fine. Does spot the FOB. Who is he going to engage? The K1? Okay. Oh no, the FOB. Oh god, he can actually kill it. That wouldn't be a bad kill at all. There we go. That's going to deny the KMs from really shooting much more. That's going to take Warspite a lot of resources, keeping that heavy artillery occupied. And that heavy artillery is pretty damn useful for Warspite for knocking out heavy anti-tank guided missiles. Well, they're probably not that heavy. I mean, 2 guys can carry them around. The payload, rather, is probably pretty heavy to whichever armoured vehicle that gets hit by it. And we are pretty much down to 20 minutes, and Satyr definitely has the lead in terms of points and, of course, map advantage. He still holds out rather key territory. But Warspite's been doing pretty decent. He's managed to at least neutralize or capture Delta. Yeah, of course, Satyr could pretty easily neutralize it, giving them another +1. And with all these forces built up, I think Warspite does have a chance to finally take back that village. I mean, a lot of the stuff up north here has been knocked down. We have T-72s in here, of course. Quite a few of them, but it's going to be about whether they want to poke their head out and engage. If I was Warspite, I'd just be smoking the hell out of this area here to cover his advance. Another rocket strike. Gonna be hitting the cargoes. But Warspite is just having a hell of a time getting into that bloody village. He does have this 1 KM900 going all the way for a hillside stroll. Don't feel like he's gonna do potentially too much. Probably gonna try and snipe the CV and Alpha, but it's a pretty decent defensive net to keep him alive. I'm sad we haven't seen any Southern play. Because usually I find it quite fun to see skirmishes along the Foxtrot Charlie route. There's usually a lot of, you know, small vehicle fights and ATGMs from all these, I say, tree lines. As you can actually get in a pretty good position from Foxtrot, capture his forest here, use it as an ATGM and staging base, and just try to sneak in through the tree line. Now, of course, you're not going to completely capture Charlie, that's absurd, but you can neutralize part of it if you do get a good hold, and even better if you manage to get into this forest. You're in a lovely position. That's a pretty good way to counter his village position, is to try and push over down south and neutralize the actual supply line to the village. But alas, he's gonna try and move head first and engage, but those T-72s are doing a damn good job keeping him suppressed, and the Cayu's coming in. Peace Pheasant, yo! Doesn't get the kill. It's a good, decent hit on one of them at least, but really get out alive. You have an Ito 90. And indeed he does. Just before the missiles of the MiG-29 hits. One of the Cayus is engaging, but by himself, yo. Gonna back off in a nick of time. Cayus are gonna have to get resupplied. Now he's received the FOB down, the KM110s have just not been able to fire. It's a damn shame, yeah. For Warspite it is. Satyr is probably pretty happy. KM900 Joe runs in for that flank, but is getting suppressed. Battle of cheap APCs. It does finally go down. Oh, there we go. He has seen neutralized Alpha here and gonna be gaining a plus run. It's actually a pretty damn good play. It's definitely gonna force Satyr and try to get a CV onto Delta to try and bring back to a 0-0. It's a little bit risky getting the CV onto Delta. It's not as many places you can hide it. Of Warspite's CV, it could be really anywhere around here. This could actually go really well here for Warspite. He's getting a flank on T-72s. Of course, he doesn't really have the anti-tank firepower to deal with him. It was Shou Chong's only have laws. Those T-72s are pretty lawless. But definitely relieving a bit of pressure. As now Satyr is probably going to have to try and play the TV sniping game in Alpha. You know, I didn't even... It's been doing a pretty poor job of paying attention to the Panzer carries flanking about. I mean, one of course has seen the resupply line, while the other one going in for the flank into Echo. I wonder if he can make it over in Echo and actually knock out CV in 14 minutes. I mean, he can actually avoid the hatching down the Shiki is the possibility. But then getting across the resupply line, that's not going to happen. There's too much traffic here. Do more mortar fire. High explosive this time, trying to deal with the Panzer Dakaris. With no real anti-tank firepower here, the T-72s at long range can slowly whittle down the Blue Dragon infantry. Now more than ever, Warspite really has the best chance of actually capturing that village. Because T-72s are, I want to say, pretty pinned down in that forest, but they are... Never mind, Cobra says otherwise, and Aito is completely out of missiles, is going to die to the one thing he's designed to kill. Of course, he doesn't have the anti-tank firepower, but Satyr isn't liking in this position at all and is going to be pulling back. Warspite, he feels it, moving up his Kayus to try and engage. I believe, I think one of the T-72M1 mods actually did go down. Indeed it did. This is actually... I think Warspite may actually take it, so I really wasn't thinking he's going to have a good chance, just due to how much he's been banging his head up north, but now without moving into Alpha here, like the Panzer Dakaris are pretty beaten down in the village. You just really need to bring in a good infantry squad or two to clear it out. And then he can have a pretty good foothold on Delta. SU-200 coming in, going for the Kairu, doesn't get the kill. EV guide and ordnance just not doing enough. The plane does barely get out. Warspite with his +1, he does have a very good chance of catching up and taking a victory. He definitely has time on his side. He can keep us up. It's actually just bypassing the village entirely and just going straight for Alpha, tried to clear it out completely. And T-72s are a little bit scared to poke their head out. But the Panzer Dakari's not going to get any support here. With no actual like anti-air nearby, that one Cobra has proven to be quite a bit of a headache. Well, the Panzer Dakari is moving through, trying to make the dash. Really avoid. If he can get the CV snipe, that might really get the clutch here for Satyr. Oh no, is that another Hachinana Shiki? He's definitely gonna spot him. Yo, it is down, like, below a hill here. So really, Panzer Dakaris can just get onto the hill, use the high ground, blow them up with their rocket launcher, and try to chase down the CV infantry. But it will give Warspite a little bit of early warning, hopefully. Warspite is really making big plays up north, actually getting into the opposing forest flank. T-72 is being forced to retreat. Sensing the danger. Things are neutralized though, because we have the CV and Delta. With only 10 minutes left. And it's definitely going to come down to the wire, it seems. Oh, Panzer Dakari took a little bit of fire from the CV infantry. Oh, they're getting stunned. They're having a defensive position, and that machine gun is keeping them alive. And there we go, Hachinan Shiki. Gonna come in and finish off the job. Bit of a shame out for Satyr, not gonna get CV snipe. It seems like Warspite is reaching a bit of his limit of his northern assault, not managing to get a good foothold into the enemy side. Well, actually, maybe. There's only 3 Panzer Karis left. He has no infantry, which is a bit of a shame. Infantry are pretty good in forest fights if you're, all the Panzer Dakaris are moving into a nice ambush position here, knocking out a few units, but finally goes down to a Cobra. The same for that Peace Pheasant. Almost crashed into KMs. Even if he lost them, it wouldn't really matter. They've been pretty useless since the FOB went down. In a time like this, I'd actually be a very useful unit. Not so much in terms of sniping ATGM infantry, but for CV, the last 7 minutes or so, and we all know the last 7 minutes is really just about sniping enemy command vehicles. And Warspite might get that sniper here into Alpha. CV infantry in a rather precarious position, being hit from all flanks. There we go, it does get spotted, it does go down, or Warspite is gonna get at +1. I don't think Satyr really has the forces in the next 6 minutes or so to actually contest Alpha once again. He really needs to do something somewhere else, and that is what he is doing. There we go, a bit of southern assault here. Do have that Shumat, which could definitely knock out 1 or 2 of his APCs. There goes 1. There goes 2. And there goes 3, but the infantry unload at the 3rd run in the nick of time. You're seeing a CV snipe you onto Echo. I wonder if Warspite even noticed this. The initial Panzer Dakari play. Because if he did, I think he would have at least moved his CV somewhere else. But now he's getting artillery. But it's only rocket artillery, which isn't really that scary. Because this is Wargame, they just kind of tickle you. Same thing with cluster munitions, and if you're on infantry. Oh, it's just like, you know, getting drizzled on. The CV and Delta might get sniped to that. Cobra's getting awfully close. It just needs to get some eyes on. If that goes down, I think that's pretty much it. That +2 is going to build such a big points lead. Super Puma coming in, trying to knock out that Cobra. Really funny seeing a Puma using a Russian machine gun. But probably not so funny for the Puma, it being shot down now. It's not even on land on top of the infantry. Absolutely pathetic. I do think the Sonchungs are going to be the ones who will get the kill here. Backed up by the M36 Jacksons. We do have a pretty even fight over the Charioteers. Yeah, it's like a pretty even fight. Out of crappy late war, early cold war vehicles. There we go, the infantry do get spotted. You're taking quite a bit of fire from the forest. Got a bunch of Panzer Dakaris. With only 4 minutes left, I think this is a little bit too late. Peace Fest actually going in for a strafing run with the cannons. Almost killing him. Just one guy left alive with a radio, yeah. Keeping his point from being captured. Oh, the T-72 went down as well. Yeah, this is pretty much it. EV down, +2. The Southern Assault. Here we go, Satyr going over here. But even then, it's gonna be a bit too late, I believe. Seeing just crazy helicopter plays, because there's not a whole lot left he can do. Also trying to go for the Alpha CV snipe. Really got it. Only 2 HP left on that. CV. Gonna force him to back off, yo. And he does survive. Cobra comes in to clear up the job. And yeah, that's going to be a good game. Warspite taking a victory. Yeah, rather stand. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it was a pretty boring match at the start. That's why I kind of spread through it. But Warspite actually getting the victory through that northern attack for Alpha, which I'm quite surprised. I felt like he was just never going to make any progress because the first 20 minutes or so of that match was just a small skirmish back and forth between super heavy tanks. But he did manage to eventually get good positioning up north, force the T-72s back, not so much with the Kayus really, but more of just good infantry maneuvers and potential threat of getting hit by rocket launchers. And then just slowly wrapped up at northern flank and got the victory, so very good job here to Warspite. And well, I'm going to leave it off at yeah, this has been another Wargame cast. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and as usual, please just take it easy.